Let's start this lesson with creating so-called invocable controller. An invocable controller is basically the controller with one action. Currently there is one road in our application which uses callback to store logic to handle this road. So we can create invocable controller and move this logic into the only action within that invocable controller. And let's see how to do this. I'm going to switch over to the terminal, and the first thing we'll do is to call command to create new controller. Here as always we have to specify the name for the controller, and then when it asks us which type of controller to create, here we'll choose invocable option. We can see the path where this file has been created, so let's open up this file in the editor. As you can see, this class contains only one magic PHP method, invoke, and this invoke method will be called automatically by Laravel when a request is going to be made to the main page of the application. But to make it work, we have to attach this method to the road. So first of all, let's just move all the logic from this callback into the invoke method right here, and then let's import all necessary classes such as db. And now let's attach this controller to the road. So instead of specifying the pair controller name, method name, since we are dealing with an invocable controller in this case, we only have to specify controller name as the second argument right here. And in the browser, let's try to request the main page. As you can see, it works. Next, we're going to create our first model in the application. Model is a special class that will be used to interact with a database, and every model in our application will be responsible for handling individual resource. For example, currently in the application we have only one resource called course, and the model for this resource we're going to create now. Usually when we create migration to describe certain structure of a particular table in the database, we also create model which will be used to interact with the table. And to create our first model, let's switch over to the terminal and run the following command, make model. As always, the first thing that we have to specify is the model name. Usually it should be called the same as the resource that this model will be responsible for. And then we also can create some additional classes. We can select some of those options by pressing space, but this time we're not going to select any option because we will talk about all of those types of classes in the future lessons. So for now, let's just press enter to create model class, and let's open up this class in the editor. As you can see, for now this class is empty, but even that is enough to start using this model class to fetch data from the courses table. And let's try it out. I'm going to switch over to course controller, and here instead of using query builder to fetch data from courses table, this time we're going to use our newly created model class. So let's fetch all the data from the courses table by calling method get on the course model. We also have to import course class from app/models namespace. And if we will open up courses page, we will still see that all the courses have been shown. There is also an alias method. We can use all instead of get, and we're gonna get the same result. Now, let's also use the model class to fetch individual course by its ID. So to do it, let's call method find, which takes an identifier of the course we are about to fetch. And in a browser, we'll see that when opening up course page, the course info is shown. That means course has been fetched successfully. And there is also one more request to the database to fetch a list of courses on the main page. So right here we can also use our newly created model class course to fetch all the data from the courses table. And since I prefer using get instead of all to fetch all the data from the table, let's change this occurrence on get. But you can use either of those, whatever you prefer, just stick to one name in your whole project. Alright, so let's see if main page still shows list of courses. And it does. And you might be wondering how course model knows what table to fetch data from. Usually Laravel follows some default conventions, and we don't have to specify any extra configurations in order to make some things work. Like in this case, if our singular model name will match plural name of the table, in this case we don't have to specify a table name explicitly that this model is going to work with. But if sometimes you will have to break this naming convention, in that case it will be necessary to specify this extra table property with the table name to sort of attach model to the table in the database. But usually it is recommended to follow standard Laravel naming conventions. Let's continue working on the project in the next lesson.